Porsche reinvents its Macan mid-sized SUV for a new electric era. It's completely different in almost every way from its combustion predecessor, but thankfully there's also much that's quite familiar.
Preconceptions can be misleading. Yes, this Macan Electric's based on the platform and engineering of an Audi, a Q6 e-tron. And yes, its wardrobe-sized underfloor 100 kilowatt-hour battery, 95 kilowatt-hours of which is usable, means a 2.3-ton curb weight, around 400 kilograms heavier than a combustion Macan. But there are positives to the EV transition too. This Macan Electric's centre of gravity is a massive 140 millimetres lower than its predecessor, and it's considerably faster as well, even in the entry-level rear-driven single-motor Macan Electric variant that ought to be quite sufficient for most. That base version gets the same big battery as every other model in the lineup. Unlike Audi, Porsche isn't offering a smaller 83 kilowatt-hour unit, and the two-wheel drive Macan Electric pairs it with a 360 PS rear motor, propelling the car to 62 miles an hour in 5.7 seconds. Range is up to 398 miles, which is the furthest you can go in any version of this car between charges. Not the only reason why we suspect that this most affordable derivative might just represent the all-round sweet spot in the lineup. The car is fully 110 kilograms lighter in two-wheel drive form, and you'll feel that at speed through the bends. Despite that though, most will want this car in dual motor all-wheel drive form with a motor on each axle, both Bosch developed units. The mid-level Macan 4 variant that we're trying here will be the strongest seller. This offers 387 PS, but with overboost and launch control engaged, that increases to 408 PS, and the car sprints to 62 miles an hour in 5.2 seconds, en route to 137 miles an hour if you engage the sport mode and feel yourself able to decimate the official EV driving range figure of up to 380 miles that Porsche wants to quote. With the Sport Chrono package fitted, you'll get an extra Sport Plus mode too. The usual settings are normal and sport. Porsche clearly couldn't bring itself to include an eco or efficiency style setting. If you've more in the budget, the next stage up is a significantly faster Macan 4S variant with 516 PS that improves the 62 mph stat to 4.1 seconds. Range with that version is up to 377 miles. Find the extra for the even more powerful Macan Turbo, and Porsche introduces a bespoke rear motor from its own tuning division, which ups power to 584 PS or as much as 639 PS on overboost with up to 1,130 Newton meters of torque. Now that slashes the 62 mile an hour sprint figure to just 3.3 seconds on the way to a most un-EV-like top speed of 162 miles an hour. Range is up to 367 miles. Despite the model name, there's no turbocharger, of course, developing all this thrust. But the turbo does standardize the adaptive air suspension system that costs extra elsewhere in the range. Much is familiar here, even if on paper everything is different. Recognisable for Macan regulars is the typical Porsche flyline silhouette, the chunky, power-packed, high-waisted profile with its swept-back roofline, short overhangs, strong shoulders and frameless doors. The flat bonnet look is borrowed from the old car too, though the headlights are different, divided into two parts. At the back, the 50mm width increase over the combustion Macan is emphasised by this full-width 3D light bar with its central Porsche logo. Now, there are certainly lots of recognisable design cues in the dark cabin, though you'd have to be familiar with the brand's most recent models to recognise most of them. Principally the uncowled 3-dial 12.6-inch curved driver's instrument display, along with a 10.9-inch central touchscreen that, as usual with the brand, is properly integrated into the fascia, and on request can be optionally paired with another 10.9-inch screen ahead of the front passenger. You sit quite low, up to 28mm lower than in the previous Macan, but the double buttressed centre console still gives quite a cockpit-like feel. Once you've adjusted to the Taycan-like gear shifter positioned high on the dash, you should find the rather over-buttoned, chunky 3-spoke wheel looks satisfyingly Porsche-like too. What else? Well, Porsche has built in one of those interaction light strips running the full width of the front of the cabin, acting as both ambient lighting and a communication light, providing information or warnings. This one, though, is unusual because instead of following the base of the windscreen, it runs across the dashboard before completing its span into the doors. Where you'd really notice this Macan Electric's fundamentally new design if you own the previous petrol model is in the rear. With 2,893 millimetres between the wheels, there's 86 millimetres of extra wheelbase length. And the result is that a 6-footer can now sit behind a front seat occupant of similar size in far more comfort than was the case with the old car. It's some way off the palatial feel you'd get in a Hyundai Ioniq 5 though, and thanks to the rakish rear end, headroom is merely adequate and not particularly good at all for really lofty folk when this optional panoramic roof is fitted. You expect to be positioned quite high in the back of an EV, but this one actually sits you up to 15mm lower than its previous combustion counterpart. From the key fob, the powered tailgate rises to reveal a decently sized 540 litre cargo area, which is 43 litres more than the old model, but it won't be much use for large, tall items thanks to the swept back tailgate. We haven't yet finished either, because Porsche has designed what it calls an integrated power box for the onboard AC charger, the high voltage heater and the 12 volt DC to DC converter, a box which sits between the rear seats and the lower battery. Space has been freed up for a useful 84 litre underbonnet frunk for the charging leads, or maybe a carry-on suitcase. Now, this Macan can't quite match the impressive 320 kilowatt charging speed of its Taycan showroom stablemate, but thanks to the 800 volt charging tech, it can, like that larger model, use the new generation of ultra-rapid 270 kilowatt public DC chargers, assuming you can find one. Hooked up to one of those, you'd get 60 miles of range in less than 4 minutes, and a 10 to 80% DC charge of the 100 kilowatt hour battery, only 95 kilowatt hours of which is usable in just 21 minutes. The NMC battery uses prismatic cells, unlike the Taycan, which uses pouches. Charging times are comparable to the Taycan, and the navigation system considers traffic conditions and topography to get you to the nearest charging station, and you can decide in advance how much charge you want in the cells when you arrive. If that arrival finds you needing to connect to a DC charger optimized for older tech 400 volt EVs, this Macan is able to cleverly split its 800 volt system and charge each bank of batteries separately, charging each at 135 kilowatts. That does away with the need there'd otherwise be for an onboard 400 volt to 800 volt converter, saving weight and complexity. As for AC charging from home, well, it'll help that Porsche has borrowed a trick from Audi and conveniently installed an 11 kilowatt AC charge port on each side of the car, though unlike with the Q6 e-tron, the flaps aren't motorised. Full charging from a typical 7.4 kilowatt wall box will take 13 hours empty to full. If your property or business has a 3-phase supply allowing you to install an 11 kilowatt wall box, you can reduce that full charging time figure to around 10 hours. We shouldn't be surprised by the care with which Porsche has developed this electric Macan. Much of the company's future does, after all, depend on it. Many of the lessons learnt from the Taycan have helped create an EV that feels more intrinsically Porsche-like. Transitioning from a Panamera to a Taycan still requires a seismic shift in perception, but that needn't be true for a combustion Macan customer switching into this battery-powered version. No, this battery-powered Macan isn't a game changer in the way the combustion original was, but it is good enough to reset customer expectations for just how engaging a mid-sized premium sports EV crossover of this kind can be. And thankfully, Porsche has managed to create a distinctly different confection from the equivalent Audi version of this design. A Porsche should feel like a Porsche, and a Macan like a Macan. This one does.